Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. We are making canned bread and butter pickles. The last ones we did were the icebox version, which did not need to be canned. They were done, just put them in the fridge and they were good for 3 months. These ones actually have to be preserved and canned. I've already cut up the cucumbers, same way we would do with the bread and butter the bread and butter ones that we put in the fridge. I can't talk. But there's 10 cups cut up. That's what this recipe calls for. And the first step after that is you would then put the canning or pickling salt into the pickles, mix it all up real good. You'd also put onion in there. I might add onion to this. I still haven't decided. I might add the onions to this one. But you would mix that canning salt in there. You can also use kosher salt or sea salt. Don't use regular table salt. But you can get a big box of canning salt for like $1.99 at the store. So you might as well just get the canning salt. But you want a half cup of canning salt. I've already got that poured out. And you're going to put that into the cucumbers and mix it all in real good. And you're going to let that sit for 2 hours. And then you're going to rinse that all off. So 2 hours you're going to sit with the canning salt in there. And then you move on to the next steps. So we'll come back when we're on the next steps, but there's step 1 of the process of preserving your pickles, your cucumbers into pickles, into bread and butter pickles to be exact. We're going to make the brine that the pickles are going to soak in. We're not ready to put the pickles into it yet, but we can mix this up at least so it's ready to go. The first thing you need is 3 cups of, actually we're going to skip that part until we've done the sugar. There's 2 cups of sugar. This is a half cup that I'm using, so I'm going to actually have to do 4 of these. So we got 1, 2, 3. There's a lot of sugar that goes into these pickles. Yeah. A scoop in there. 4. And then we need 3 cups of the white vinegar, which means we're going to have 6 of these of white vinegar. Just regular old white distilled vinegar. So 3 cups total. So again, like this is the half cup, so we're going to do 6 of them. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 6. Okay, and then next we're going to be doing 2 tablespoons of mustard seed. That stuff there. This is brand new, so I gotta open it up. We've had this sitting in my cabinet forever. There's 1. 2. And then we need 1 teaspoon of celery seed. That's the celery seed. And 1 teaspoon worth of turmeric. Now you're just going to mix all that up. When it's time, when it gets closer to the 2-hour mark, this is going to get heated up to a boil. And then once it's boiling, you'll add the pickles in until it starts boiling again. Then you're going to add it all into your pickling jars. Okay, so we've got the juice boiling. Cucumbers have been rinsed and drained from the salt. They've been brining or soaking in the salt for 2 hours. So now the cucumbers have to get added into the juice, and this has to get brought back to a boil, and then it's ready to be canned. Now we just got to bring that back to a boil. There you go. Now you can see in. So you're going to bring all that back to a boil. And once it's boiling, you can turn off the heat. And we're going to add them into our sterilized mason jars. Once your cucumbers are boiling again, or your brine is boiling, you're going to fill your jars. These jars are a little bit warm. They're not excessively hot. I like to put them on the top here with the canner. To help keep the jars a little bit warm, so you're not adding hot liquid into cold jars. You're more likely to crack your jars if you do that. Now, cucumbers, or pickles I should say, are highly acidic, so you do not need to can them in a pressure canner. A water bath is feasible. Now, normally you would want to do pickles in a pint jar, the smaller jars, and they would go in a water bath for 10 minutes, but I'm out of those, so we are going to use the quart jars, which means that they will be water bathing for 15 minutes. You're going to add 5 minutes to that water bath time, so 15 minutes and then 5 minutes just kind of cooling off after they've been brought to a boil for 15 minutes. A little bit more in that one. This is probably only going to make 2 of these big jars. If they were small jars, you'd have probably 4 to 5 jars. But we've got big jars. That's all I got. I need to go buy some more small jars because I want to make some salsa. And I don't want to put salsa in this big of a jar, so I do need to get some small jars. For right now, we're just going to make this work. We've been canning them in these huge jars though, and you're only getting 2 jars out of it. It seems like you just did a ton of work for 2 jars. But, like I said, if this would have been put in a normal size pickle jar, you would have had about 4 to 5 jars. And they taste very good. It's nice when you know you made it yourself, you know what's all in there. I'd say it's healthier, but you have so much sugar in here, I don't know if I can say healthy. But you know that there aren't all those preservatives being added in. You know exactly how it was made. It's reassuring when you make your own. See them a little better. Now, I don't know what my spatula is for getting the air out of these jars. I had a spatula meant for this, so we're going to use just this spatula here. And you want to go down the sides of the jar, right down the glass, and press down. You want to get all the air bubbles out. And help push all the air bubbles up. You don't want air bubbles in the jar. So by doing that, it helps push all those air bubbles up. If you got anything along the lip, make sure you clean it. These are nice and dry. We didn't get anything there, so we don't have to clean it. But if you would have like spilt some of the liquid there, you're gonna have to take a towel and wipe it. Now you just take and you put your sterilized lids on, and you screw the top. And then we gotta do this one. I said now if these were in the smaller jars, it would be 10 minutes in the water bath. These are gonna go for 15 minutes because of their size. So they're going into that pot there. You can't see them, but they're in that pot. And we're gonna lower them in. Make sure the water covers the top, which they aren't getting covered at this moment, so I have to actually take care of that. So there's not much to see, not a much, not a lot to see. The water started boiling. We dropped those jars into the pot, put the lid onto it, set the timer for 15 minutes. When 15 minutes is up, you let it sit for 5 minutes before you take it out. You do not want to set those jars on the countertop, because going from an extreme hot to that extreme cold could cause that jar to crack. So instead of putting it on a countertop, put a towel down or something along that nature, and you set those jars onto the towel so that way they don't crack. And then you just leave them overnight so that all the jar lids can pop where they're supposed to. Check them tomorrow. If they do not stay down and they pop back up, you still have enough time to throw them back in the canner again. Make sure you're checking them tomorrow though, so that way you don't lose your pickles because they were not fully canned. So we're going to let this boil for that 15 minutes, and I'll show you once it's all done. The pickles are done. Now these are pickles I had actually done yesterday. So notice how they don't have the ring around them anymore. They've already been checked. The seal should not move. It should not open easily. You don't want to tug so much that it does open, but if you feel any movement of those lids, they need to go back in the water bath. You might want to take it off, clean the rim, and then put them back in the water bath, because then something was probably prohibiting it from sealing. But notice there's no noise coming from the tops at all. Those are sealed and good. I do not store them with those rings on there. Those rings put pressure along the rim of the seal, and it'll start to put so much pressure that it'll pop that seal. So don't store with the rings on your canned goods. So those two are done. Those are yesterday's. These ones I did today, along with the ones back here. These ones were done earlier. They're popped down. Notice these two are the ones I just did. And listen, there's still a little bit of play. There's not a lot. There's still a little bit of play. Some people, when they can pickles, they'll add the hot liquid in, and then they'll put the lids on and flip them upside down and let them seal that way. And yes, that can work. The problem with that is the seal is not as strong as a water bath seal. Doing it the way I just did it is a definite good seal, as long as you get it right. Like I said, you want to check it about 24 hours later and make sure that seal is solid before you take those rings off. Once you know that that seal is solid, you take the rings off. So there's 6 lovely jars of pickles. I wish they were smaller jars. We would have had a lot more jars up there. But you make do with what you can make do with. Make sure when you're done, you put what they are along with the dates at the top here. Those lids are going to get thrown away between each use. Just buy new ones. It's not that expensive. So make sure you write and label, so you can keep track of when you can them, as well as what it is. Typically, you got about 18 months after canning that these pickles will still be good. So you really do have a pretty long time to finish them. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you guys learned a little bit. And we'll catch you on the next one.